Hello and welcome to Shaman Sister Sessions, episode 47. I'm Michelle Hawk, and I'm here with my shaman sister, Katherine Bird. This podcast was born out of our friendship, our sisterhood, and our conversations about what it means to be a healer, what it means to do this work in the world, what the hell are we doing in our personal and professional lives with all this spiritual energy, and what is the new archetype of the practitioner. I'm not sure why I said that. I've never said that in an intro before, but what is the new archetype, the new vision of being a healer, a practitioner of the world? So apparently we're talking about that too. We're here on what are we talking about? We're talking about energetic survival for sensitives, empaths, and healers. I got really distracted for a second. Energetic survival for sensitives, empaths, and healers. We did this workshop just last week when Kat was here in Portland visiting me, and we had an in-person live, which almost never happens or hardly ever in the same place at the same time, workshop that we delved into this. It sold out. It was amazing. People loved it. And so we decided, in case you missed it, we wanted to bring you the same content. We won't be doing the practices here on our show today, but we will be talking about these tools. And so, Kat, how are you doing?
I'm good. I've got a little cold. I think I was hit from the travels to Portland and being in the cold and then coming to San Diego where it was really warm. And now we're having a windstorm, which is causing all kinds of fires. So we're just hoping to be safe. But other than that, I'm doing amazing. I'm excited to be here and talking about this topic, which is probably one of the most important topics. And it's like, you might think that at some point you might get past the need to talk about this, but it's just, there's never the point where we're going to get past the need to talk about energetic hygiene and, how do we deal with being human, honestly. I would say being sensitive and being an empath, but, honestly, it's being human.
Yeah. The being sensitive and being an empath is ultimately our natural state of being across the board. I feel very comfortable asserting that as a across the board statement about humanity, where when it's actually by putting ourselves in positions that we become desensitized, putting ourselves in society, putting ourselves in positions of conflict, and that is the thing that takes us out of our natural state of being, which is sensitivity, it is empathy, it is compassion, it is our ability to heal ourselves and everyone else around us. So yeah, I'm totally on board, Kat. It's, how do we deal with being human? How do we, as sensitive beings, everybody has this degree of innate sensitivity, but the question is, to what extent do we shut it off or do we shut it down because it's not safe for us to feel that, it's not safe for us to be that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know, I think the whole thing is just a fascinating topic around how we are trained out of our sensitivities. We're trained to believe that we're not sensitive in the first place. And then if you are, and you are sort of deemed the sensitive one in your family, you're too sensitive, you're so emotional, you're so whatever, you're so extreme, like all of these judgments that come down on those that do dare to express sensitivity, empathy, like to have empathy and compassion for others, for other children, for animals, is laughed at in our society. As when we're little, it's ridiculed, and it's stiff upper lip, and let's like make sure everybody thinks that we're tough. And we can lose, I know for myself, like we can lose a lot of years and time and experiences by putting on sort of a false facade of protection and boundaries, even, instead of what we're advocating, I believe, is this more permeable, more experiential with others, allowing ourselves to be deeply connected with others, yet still holding a very true sense of protection, sovereignty, and boundaries in our system.
I think it's the difference between healthy protection and boundaries and unhealthy protection and boundaries. So I think what you were referencing, to what extent do we close ourselves off or put up this facade, that's the unhealthy protection. It's, I'm going to shut this down because I don't feel safe, as opposed to the healthy expression of the protection and boundaries and the energetic processing that says, okay, I'm going to employ these practices so that I can safely be sensitive, empathic, and connected with my healing self. So that, and that's what we're speaking about today, is what are some tools, what are some techniques, what are some practices and awarenesses that we can bring so that we get to have, Kat, like you said, that semi-permeable relationship with, I'm not shutting everything out because that's impossible. I'm not cutting myself off from living in humanity because I'm here, I'm choosing to live on this planet and do this work in the world. So how do we have this space where we can still be participating in our lived experience in a safe way that makes us feel okay being sensitive people?
Yeah. And I think what you're saying here about like, I think this is the new archetype that you're talking about, is that being who we are, being deeply connected to earth, to spiritual realms, to our sensitivities, to our healing nature, and also this, being thrust into the world and going to the grocery and being in humanity, living in cities even, in a way that for a lot of people, I know that probably your people say this too, but I hear a lot, oh, I'm too sensitive for this world, or it's so hard to be human, it's so hard to live on earth. And I think probably you and I have both said that at some point, for sure.
Oh yeah. I remember distinctly at one point being in tears saying it's hard being human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a theme, right? And so, but there's a very disempowering element to that being the story that we choose to live by. Mm-hmm. That I'm too sensitive to interact with my environment, because it doesn't leave anything open for our possibilities of being a creator, of being powerful, and being a leader. It's hard to be a leader if people being around you freaks out your system.
Yeah. These are ultimately the tools that, thank you for bringing that around to the archetype thing. That's what we're talking about, is how can we be in the world and be in spirit? How can we be grounded in this place from a really empowered state of being? So let's talk about protection and boundaries, because we've started dancing around that a little bit. What do we mean when we're talking about healthy version of protection and boundaries? We gave you a little bit of an example of some unhealthy protection and boundaries. And actually, let's do a couple more examples. So in thinking about this, shutting down the sensitivity, shutting down the emotion, like stepping out of the heart space, viewing emotion as weakness, putting up barriers to things that make us feel, and being really not okay being in raw feeling, raw emotion. So these are some of the unhealthy reflections of what it's mean to be out of balance with the protection and boundaries.
Mm-hmm. Right. Putting up too much, putting up walls where there could be windows and not letting people see us, not letting people experience, the truth of who we are, our heart, our softness, our vulnerability, really, seeing that, kind of the story of who we are, like investing in the story of who we are instead of the truth of who we are, and letting that be the guide of how we're interacting with the world.
Mm-hmm. So in regards to the healthy protection and boundaries, some of these, the ways that these appear are honoring our space, honoring our personal energetic space and physical space, taking or offering yourself barriers, healthy boundaries of space and time to have alone time, to create physical distance and time for you to be by yourself, to be present with yourself, to relax your nervous system. That's one of the biggest things, honestly, is just giving ourselves some alone time is one of the simplest means of protection that we could ever hope to offer. Because if our systems are constantly inundated with information, people that we're meeting with or spending time with, internet, checking our phones, doing our jobs in the world, we don't actually ever have any space to return back to what is our baseline state of being.
Yeah, I think that can't be stressed enough, honestly. For those of us who do identify more as the sensitives, who have more of, an introvert kind of reality to our system, like it's a reality, if that's the way that you are, to honor that, to be okay with it. I know that I will completely overdo my system, and if I spend too many days with pretty much anybody, it doesn't matter how much I love them, I will it's like my nervous system honestly starts to act out and starts to feel kind of frazzled and weird. And I can either ignore that at the expense of the relationship, because I will start a fight with that person, or or I can, try to, pad into the experience that I'm having of taking some space. And I know that this is something that I'm still learning, because I will overdo it. I'll overdo it with my partner. I'll overdo it with my friends. I'll overdo it with my family. And it's never of a good result, because the reality of how I live my day-to-day life is that, yes, I have my clients, I have, the conversations I have with you and with other people, but I spend an enormous amount of time alone in a very quiet space. And even if you're not like actively engaging with someone, just having someone near you affects your energy field and affects your system. And then, maybe you have kids and you've got a partner that you live with, and there are a lot of very sensitive people who get next to zero alone time throughout their day. Maybe in the car, maybe in the shower, and hopefully on the toilet, and that's about it.
Yeah, this is a thing for real. And Kat and I were kind of chuckling about this, both because this came up while Kat was visiting, and this is the reality for both of us, is that both of us need an extraordinary amount of time and space to be alone. And we didn't start a fight with each other while she was here, but there was definite a recognition of like, my nervous system feels really fried, me too, okay, like just breathe. And no matter how much we love each other, like, and both of us are super aware of our energies, and yet this is still a thing. So we're sharing this in total transparency of like, we're still working on this, everybody's still working on this. It's a journey that we get to laugh at, we get to have fun with, and we get to be compassionate with ourselves when we do freak ourselves out, when we do cross our own boundaries and push ourselves too hard or take on more than we can handle, and then fry ourselves and have to emotional recoil and retreat. This is a thing.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, for me, I often date extroverts. Like, the majority of the people I've been in partnership with have been extroverts, because I like that. I like when someone has a lot to say. I get to like be less, chatty. Like my introvert self actually likes to be attached to an extrovert, because it makes me go out more. They're fun and exciting and chatty and interesting, and they will burn me out. I love my extroverts, and they'll burn me out. So even just recognizing that within your family structure, if you're a very sensitive, empathic person and you have kids that are just like all over you all the time, and then you're trying to figure out why your relationship isn't doing so well with your partner, some of that is just because there's not enough energetic space for you to reset your system to find that sovereignty within yourself. We're kind of within that core essence of, oh, this is me, I'm over here, this is my feeling space, this is what I'm feeling, and you're over there a little bit, which is very a healthy way of communicating and being in relationship and being in boundaries. We often think that that's not the way that we should be, that we should completely merge with our partner, with our children. And we hear a lot, oh, I don't know where my feelings begin, or I don't know where I begin and the other person, ends, and that sort of experience. So that then whatever that other person is going through emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, it then is taken on by the one who's more of this kind of sensitive empath, which can have an extreme detrimental effect, not allowing someone else to actually just have their process. This is definitely one of those, like, oh my gosh, I'm so guilty. And it's like a constant relearning of separating ourselves enough to be in an experience with someone without taking on all their stuff.
Mm-hmm. So how do we do that then? This energetic discernment. No, we're going to give you an answer, right?
No, it's impossible. I don't know.
Yeah, we're going to give you some tools, but this is another really fundamental piece of energetic discernment. What is mine and what is not mine? And this is a function of the protection and boundaries, because when we are able to tell, okay, these are my emotions, these are my feelings, what's coming up for me energetically, and that's theirs, that enables us to assert our boundaries, hold our container, and stay grounded in ourselves, which is ultimately gives the most freedom, and it's the most loving thing that we can do whenever we're in connection with another person. We do this through exploring our sovereignty. We do this through being really present in our bodies and in our field. When I am so grounded in, and we'll talk about grounding later, but when I am really, really grounded in my body and in my field, and I completely embody all parts of my energy body, there is no room for anything that isn't me. That is the foundation of a boundary. Is there any room? Looking at, a cup that's half full, right? There's all this space in there to put other stuff in. So like you can put rocks in, you can put little bits of leaves, and then you won't have a clean cup of water. But if the cup of water is completely full, there is no room to add in anything else, and you just have this beautiful, clean, clear cup of water. So asking, am I full? Am I fully occupying all parts of my body, all parts of my energy field, so that there is no room? I'm going like this because this is part of a practice that we did. There's no room in here for anything that isn't me.
Exactly. But the thing is that we often don't notice that there's room for other stuff, that we're not full until we're completely empty. Mm-hmm. And then this is the place that a lot of people are actually just operating from. Completely empty, totally not resourced within their own system, within their own body. And so then just being in public or going to work, it's like a barrage of other people's stuff, emotions, energy, everything's coming in, because there isn't a sense of fullness. And that fullness does come, as you talked about, of truly the awareness of self, right? The self-awareness. We always say everything comes back to self-awareness. Being aware of ourselves, our energy body, our physical body. So becoming more embodied. So getting back into movement practice, dance practice, yoga, breathing, all of the things that bring us into our body help us to have that more defined sense of self, so mm-hmm. that everything isn't just rushing into the open space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a super valuable component of this. The protection aspect, this is where we're, we can talk about invocations, we can talk about calling in your guides, we can talk about defining the boundaries of your energy field. So once you are completely full, once you are completely embodied, and you have practiced the discernment of, okay, this is mine, this can stay, this is not mine, this can leave, then we need to seal it in, right? So this is where we do the protection practice of, I completely, my energies are separate and safe. I call upon my guides and teachers to support me in creating a clean, clear, semi-permeable boundary that only allows in energies that are 100% of the light and love, the highest vibration. I deflect all that which does not belong to me. I deflect all that which is of low frequencies. So you're programming into your boundary, your beautiful little egg field, your bubble here. It's not a, and this is the thing that we talk about with people, it's not like you're bouncing everything off of you. This is a semi-permeable protection, but it is a protection. And think of it like a contract. You need to spell out the rules for what can come in and what can't. And you get to ask for help. You get to call upon your guides and teachers to support you in creating this protective field.
Absolutely. And utilizing, gold and pink and, these colors that everybody likes. If they come in contact with you and you have this in your field, they're going to like it, and they're going to be, interested in and engaging with you. We sometimes think that we should just put up these giant shields and just keep everything out, and that's what's going to protect me. But we want to let in love. We want to let in abundance. We want to let in people who are interesting to us. We want to allow our sensitivities to guide us, our intuition about people, our healing gifts to shine through. We don't want to dampen any of that and fall back into this old patterning of, I need to protect myself from the world. No, it's protection, but it's coming from a place of, I am full, I am, empowered into who I am, in the fullness of who I am, and from this place I engage with the world.
Beautiful. Yeah, let's talk about,
the thing is, it's not about fear. It's not about being afraid of what's coming towards you and at you. That just complicates everything.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about energetic hygiene. These and all of these pieces inform each other. So remember, we're speaking about protection and boundaries. We're speaking about energetic hygiene. We're talking about grounding, and then we're giving you some practical tools for this as well.
And just to mention about boundaries, I believe that we have a whole episode on boundaries, going deep into childhood patterns, the way that we've created our boundary systems, the ways that we mess up, how to have better boundaries in all areas of your life. So check out the boundary episode. I believe it's an early episode, and there's lots of amazing information there.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't remember which one that was, but yeah, for sure.
It's called protection and boundaries. So there you go.
Right. It should be fairly obvious. Yes. We absolutely go into much greater detail there as well. In the context of that, speaking about energetic hygiene, this is a practice which is, the protection and boundaries is included in energetic hygiene. I think energetic hygiene is like kind of the broader look here, but looking at hygiene like you would think about anything else. So when we asked people this in our workshop, we asked like, who knows what energetic hygiene is? And like people didn't really have any idea, but then you put it in the perspective of, well, what is normal hygiene, right? So you like taking showers, brushing your teeth, washing under your fingernails, washing your hands, right? So all the, and cleaning your space, like cleaning up food crumbs, having clean environment, all of these things can be applied to energetic hygiene. So what are you doing to cleanse yourself is one of the primary functions of energetic hygiene. What are you doing to clean your aura? What are you doing to take care of your body, to make sure that your body is really clear? What are you doing to take care of your environment, to make sure that your environment is really clear? Cleansing. Yeah, cleansing is kind of like the number one piece of the energetic hygiene.
Right. And just as you never are finished cleaning your house or brushing your teeth or, washing your body, you can put it off for a little while, but at some point you've got to do it. And so it's a never ending thing. So a lot of times people will maybe be like, oh, I just feel like I've taken on a lot of stuff, and they'll go see a practitioner, and the practitioner will clean them up, get them all great, and they'll leave like feeling amazing and I'm incredible now. And then they go about their business and they're out in the world doing their thing and just slowly keep accumulating things.
Mm-hmm.
And then they've got to go back to the practitioner. And while we love for people to come to us for all different kinds of reasons, it is imperative, helpful, suggested, recommended, right? The dentists recommend that you floss your teeth. Healers recommend that you clean yourself up. Like, especially if you're going to come and work with Michelle or I, or, you're going to work on something really deep, like clean yourself up on a regular basis. That way we can go into the really deep, great stuff, the really interesting parts, instead of just doing the surface, cleaning and just keep doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, get the most out of your work with a healer by doing your energetic hygiene in advance, so brush your teeth so that then the dentist can come along and actually, it's like that analogy that you gave, Kat, is like you go to the dentist once every 6 months or once a year, and then you don't brush your teeth or floss at all in between. Like it's that gross, honestly, from the energetic perspective of like, what shit are you accumulating in your field that does not belong there? What plaque are you building that is just like giving you bad breath on the energetic energetic level? And it's totally avoidable by, doing your 5-minute toothbrushing, your 2-minute toothbrushing equivalent of energetic practice. We talked about this actually in our workshop as well, where so if you're a person, you brush your teeth every single day, you floss, and you're really good about your hygiene. If you happen to skip a day, it's not going to give you cavities. Like you're going to be okay, right? And you're going to have enough solid foundation of practice in place, or solid foundation of brushing your teeth in place, that one day of not brushing your teeth is not going to totally wreck your oral hygiene. Same thing with energetic hygiene. If you have a really consistent practice that can be as short as 2 minutes, quite honestly, if you do 2 minutes of energetic hygiene practice a day, you will be in much better shape than somebody who does a really dramatic, thorough energetic cleaning once a month. Quite honestly, again, with the toothbrushing, like if you brush your teeth really, really, really well once a month, not okay. It's not okay. Same with the energetic clearing practice.
Yeah. And the same thing goes, like, to keep with the teeth analogy, right? Like, if you're doing really well, you're cleaning yourself up, like, it's okay to eat some cake. It's okay to have some candy. But if on a daily basis, you're constantly eating sugar and things that you're sucking on lemons and really acidic stuff, you're going to see the effects in your teeth. And it's the same thing, like energetic hygiene is not only like what you're taking away, it's also what you're putting in. So the people that you're hanging out with, are you down at the bar drinking with, like there's all of these things that are also coming into your field. Are you spending a lot of time, watching extreme violence, or engaging in gossip, or being in an experience with someone where they're putting you down all the time, like words that are being said to you, those have an energetic impact on your field, on your system. And so there's also the part around not only what you're taking away, but also what are you letting in? What are you letting into your sphere? What are you letting into your field? How much time are you spending watching the news? How much time are you spending in front of the computer in general? Or are you just like, you're going to eat an apple? It's like, oh, that would be a better choice for my teeth right now than this candy bar. Oh, actually going out and taking a 20-minute walk out in the trees is going to be a better choice than me watching this, like, whatever video that is that I might watch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The paying attention to what we are offering ourselves, and also treating ourselves with a lot of compassion when we do have that candy bar, or the energetic equivalent of the candy bar, or whatever the deal is, and trusting that we're not trying to advocate any denying ourselves things. We're not trying to to we're not putting any shame on ourselves or on other people for having these things, and yet also
Enjoy it, right?
yeah,
Enjoy it. Be like, oh my gosh, this is the best candy bar ever. I
right.
was in Portland, and Michelle and I were invited out on I don't know, it was a Friday or Saturday night to go to a club, a bar, and go dancing. And when we were like, yes, we'll be there, there was a little on the other end of the conversation, like, really?
Yeah, she thought we were kidding. I was like, yeah, we'll get ready and we'll see you there. She's like, wait, what? But we like to party too. And it's okay. We went out, we had a great time, and
We had a great time, and it was
yeah.
super fun.
Mhm.
We both had alcohol, which is like not a general thing that we ever do.
Nope.
And like, I definitely had a little bit of a pay for it the next day, but we
Right.
had an amazing time and really enjoyed ourselves. And I didn't have any experience during the process of like, oh, this is, bad shaman.
Yeah, bad shaman going out in the world and having friends and having fun. No. No, but we do that because we have, and also being in a place like that, if we didn't have our boundaries in place, would be really hard. I mean, it's super loud music. I was wearing earplugs the whole time. Kat, I know you were too. It was loud music. There's a lot of people, a lot of energy, and drinking alcohol, and being around a lot going on. But we were able to do it, both of us, because we have such a strong practice in boundaries, because we're able to put up our protection and our grounding in our bodies, saying, hey, this is mine, this is not mine, that's totally okay. So I can go into this very, frankly, chaotic environment and feel totally fine because I have my practice in place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you'll find that a result of that is that the people and experiences that are of more of a baser level that you don't want to have an interaction with, they're less like brought into your field.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh no, these people that I like, I'm meeting these people and they're amazing and fun. Instead of like, I'm meeting these people and they're just total jerks and I don't even want to be around them and they won't leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't meet any of those people. We met great people.
Yeah,
It was
we
good.
So
Yeah.
you were saying grounding. Let's chat a little bit about grounding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the grounding.
Can we just say like energetic hygiene? We're gonna come back and give you a couple of tools on that at the end.
Yeah, for sure. And all of this, I think it's safe to say it all falls under the umbrella of energetic hygiene. So if we had to put an umbrella on this, or what is the container? We're talking about energetic hygiene, of which protection and boundaries, the clearing, the filling your energy, and the grounding are functions of that.
Mm-hmm.
Grounding. What does it mean to be grounded? What does it? And we've talked about this before in a lot of different capacities. Grounding, we are fully present in our bodies, we're fully present in our fields, where again I'm so full in my own energy and I am so occupying my own space, there's no room for anything that's not me.
That we're connected to the earth frequency, that we are in this experience of being on the earth, in the earth even. And from that place, then we can expand into the other realms and so on and so forth. But even within the context of we did an episode on astral travel and shamanic journeying, and please visit that episode too, because we talked a lot about grounding in that context. But even in the experience of the spiritual practices that we have, or whatever the abilities that we are working with or calling in, of remaining very devoted to the physical body as a temple, and to doing the practices to allow us to feel that sense of being really grounded in our body.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So grounding, and this also, we're speaking a lot about energetic, again, our topic today is energetic survival, yet all of the physical components that we can possibly take into account directly affect our energy. So this is where we're talking about our nutrition. This is where we're talking about our home space. This is where we talk about our sleep, right? So all of these facets help us be grounded, help us be present in our bodies. If our bodies feel safe, we can actually be here. If our bodies feel cared for, we can actually fully embody our spheres. So that means, eating foods that make your body feel high vibration and nourished. It means getting enough rest. It means getting enough alone time. It means having your home space and the space that you spend a lot of time feel really nurturing and nourishing to you. It means surrounding yourself with people that help you feel safe in your nervous system. It means being authentic in your communication, to communicate to other people your boundaries so that you can honor your space. These are all functions of the physical part of what it means to be grounded in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. We're also looking at like the physical body, breathing down into the earth, honestly, is a huge thing. Connecting with the pelvic floor, with the pelvis, stretching the hips, squatting. Like if you could squat for just a few minutes every single day, will greatly assist in this sensation of being grounded. Doing exercises with your legs is really important. Doing balancing postures. And it's not that you have to go to a 90-minute yoga class to be grounded. You can do a few minutes of squats and balance postures and receive an enormous amount of benefit in the grounding of your body.
Mm-hmm. Again, the short practices that take a few minutes that you do every single day are ultimately more sustainable for you and more effective than doing a longer practice once in a great while. So again, and this is something I tell a lot of my clients who, a thing that I hear a lot is, I don't have time for that, or I don't know how to fit it into my schedule. And so I say, well, what do you have? 2 minutes? Do you have 5 minutes? Do you have 10 minutes a day? We talked about this actually in our Embody the Practice episode featuring Andrew Marshall, about ways to create a practice that is sustainable for you. So I highly recommend going back to look at that. What can you commit to that will set you up for success, that doesn't necessarily take a lot of time if you do not have time, but gives you the space to drop into your body, to feel really clear in your energy, and to feel full so that you can fully embody your space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for example, I have a garden space, and I love my garden and my little birds and everything. And so I will go out and take my shoes off and water my plants and, mess with my plants for a little while. It's a short period of time, but I'm walking on the earth with my shoes off. I'm, becoming more grounded by just having physical contact with the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just on the weekends, sometimes if it's a nice day, I'll just go lay on a blanket on the ground. You know what? That's a practice. Like, a lot of times we don't acknowledge the things that we could be doing. Oh, I'm going to read this book. Well, maybe instead of reading the book on my bed, I'm going to go out and lay on the ground and read this book and in nature and receive the additional benefits that I could receive from that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anything else to add about that before we move on to our advice? I think tools and techniques.
Yeah,
Let's
do that.
there. Yeah,
So
definitely.
we've just given you some really good ones, just as far as for grounding specifically. There are so many tools and techniques for helping us become grounded. And for anyone who is feeling overwhelmed, I don't know what's mine and what's theirs. The experience of, I'm too sensitive, my awakening is happening really fast and I'm not sure what to do with it. Grounding, 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 grounding.
Yep. When in doubt, grounding. When in doubt, ground it down.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, I've had that, and I'm really, really grateful actually that I finally had this experience enough times where I can default to, okay, when in doubt, ground. But you know, those times when like you can't tell what's wrong. You're like, I don't feel great, but I'm not sure what it is. And then, and this came up the other night actually, you know, we'd had a long day, or actually this was yesterday. I spent the whole day out at the mountain at my friend's house, this beautiful house, like right next to the river on the mountain in the middle of nowhere. It's gorgeous. And we were doing mastermind meeting stuff. So I was running a lot of intellectual energy all day. I was on my computer all day. I was typing and I was thinking and I was giving feedback and just a whole lot of this. And then finally get back to the city yesterday, and I'm asked like, oh, are you hungry? And I'm like, I can't tell. So yeah, that probably means yes. Like I can't tell what's going on in my body right now. So ground it down. We had delicious food dropped into the body. And then I was like, oh, okay, that's right. I was feeling all my energy was up here. And it was to the point where I couldn't tell what was going on in my body. So I know now, I've had this happen enough times that I know that means even if I don't feel hungry, even if I don't feel tired, because I didn't feel tired, even if I don't feel scattered, it means that my energy is all the way out here and I need to bring it back in.
Yeah. And for me, a lot of times at that moment, which is where I go off and I go wrong, is that I continue to try to engage when what I really need at that moment is to not talk, not engage, like close my eyes and rest. Mm-hmm. And if I can do that, you know, and just really come back to myself, then I'll be okay. But my default is let me take care of you, let me engage with you, let me like be present for you, because that's what, you know, that's what I need to do. And again, back to that self-awareness. What do you really need to take care of yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think this is immediately pertinent. All of this conversation is immediately pertinent for a lot of people as we're going into the holiday season, but also, I mean, in total transparency, both Kat and I do a lot of work on this consistently in our personal lives. Like there's a reason that this is so deeply relevant, not only not only for everyone around us, but for us too. And we've been doing this for so many years. These tools, everything that we're sharing, I am actively putting into place right now as we're speaking about having stuff come up with people, with situations, with my business, with my own personal practice, that I'm looking at how can I go back to the foundation of my work, the foundation of my energetic survival in order for me to navigate these other situations and these other relationships with ease rather than with feeling spun out.
Mm-hmm. And here's the deal, you will fail. I fail still, Michelle fails still, like we fail, you will fail. You will think that you have finally reached the pinnacle of your you know, the top of the line of where you're at, and you will have an experience at the holiday table that will completely take you backward in time to being 10 years old and be like, okay, I have not grown at all. I'm a complete novice in this world. Who am I here? And that's okay. And back to center, come back to your grounding, clean yourself up, clear it off, and you know, come back to all of these pieces. And for me, I just want to say, like, I'm going to state this out into the world, because for me, the one thing that I probably need more than anything is to actually let the other person know that I'm with. Like, so there's a part of me, like, I don't want to disappoint that person, or I'm assuming or whatever, but if I could just let that person know I'm actually a bit overwhelmed in this moment, I feel like I really need some space and some time to go rest my body or be outside or do a little meditation or do a practice or whatever, you know, I need to close my eyes here and not engage for a little while, then that other person can go, oh, I understand what's going on with you. Instead of feeling left out of your experience, maybe the person, your family, your partner, you know, whoever you're engaging with doesn't understand where you're coming from, because they don't experience the world in the same way that you do. They don't experience overwhelm of sensitivity in the way that you do. And so letting people in, like, sometimes that's really vulnerable to share, especially with our families when we've been told we're too sensitive, right? And to go, hey, I need to just go take a little break right now. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed and I just need a minute. So you know,
Yeah.
like,
And allowing yourself the freedom to do that. This is one of the things, actually, when I was speaking with a client a couple of days ago who wasn't able to make it. Kat, I don't think I told you about this. I was speaking with someone who wasn't able to make it to our live workshop, and she asked me, and I told her, well, that's okay, we're doing a podcast episode on this, so hey, I hope you're watching this. She asked, or you tune in later, she asked me, how do we deal with the people who are going to push back against this? And how do we, it's easy, right? It's easy to do, quote unquote easy, to do all of this when it's just us. But then as soon as we're around the people who push our buttons, we're around the people who might not necessarily speak the language or be familiar with honoring the boundaries in the space and the sensitivity, etc. How do we navigate that? And the best answer I have is good luck. No, it's a combination of just giving yourself and them a great deal of compassion. And so my turn for vulnerable share. The thing that I'm working on most in this context is allowing the other person to have their own experience and not taking responsibility for it or attaching myself to it. That is really hard for me, and I'm getting better at it. I am, actually. And relatively recently I've had opportunity to put that into practice, where something is coming up for somebody that I care about that is not really about me, but I'm involved because I care about them and because I'm present for that interaction, for the conversation. And my tendency historically has been to take responsibility for their experience, to insert myself into their process, and to try to fix it, to try to help it, and also feel guilty about it. Feel like, oh my gosh, I caused this person to feel this thing. I'm a terrible person. I'm a terrible friend. I'm a terrible whatever. I'm sorry. When in reality, the greatest gift of freedom that you can offer is in any relationship is to have your own experience and to let other people have their own experiences too. This is part of how we navigate these practices of protection and boundaries. Energetic hygiene is understanding most of the time what is coming up for somebody has absolutely nothing to do with us. Absolutely nothing. And the vast majority of the time, quite frankly. And yet we don't know how to deal with that. And other people don't know how to identify that. It takes an enormous degree of self-awareness for somebody to say, I'm projecting these feelings on you because you happen to be here. And I can see that and call myself on it. Most people can't do that. Absolutely not. So then it falls to us to be able to discern, I see that this person is in pain, this person is in suffering, and they are projecting their patterns or they're projecting their beliefs about the world onto me, and they're blaming me for it. And it's not great, but that's their experience right now, and I have to be okay with them having that experience. That is one of the best tools and one of the best awarenesses I could possibly hope to suggest to you for navigating, especially the holiday season, when we spend time with our families and other people who might be a little bit challenging for us, to hold that I release any responsibility for other people's process, and I allow them the complete freedom and compassion to have their own experience, as I allow myself the complete freedom and compassion to have my own experience.
Yes, yes, yes. And that is especially going to help you this holiday season, as we might be having interactions with people who hold radically different views about social issues and politics and things that can really become enormously challenging at this time of year. And so that's just good luck, everyone.
Yeah, I mean, good luck.
It really, some of it is, we're going to have experiences with people who can't relate to us and don't understand where we're coming from, and vice versa. And sometimes we're intimately related to those people. So,
and we get to call ourselves on that too, of like, am I, in what way am I projecting onto that person? Because we can be, we spiritual people could be guilty of that too, of how am I applying my process to that person when in reality it really has nothing to do with them. And then again, coming back to the compassion, coming back to the patience, it's okay, we're humans, we fuck up sometimes, and we can still just be loving on ourselves for it, because again, this is how do we be in the world as spiritual practitioners, as sensitive people, as healers, as empaths, and also be human. That's the thing, is we're doing this so that we can also be who we are as humans, and we can also have this collective experience together. We're going to mess up sometimes. We're going to have uncomfortable experiences. We're going to deplete ourselves. We're going to lash out at people. And the more we do these practices, the less that will happen.
So shake it off, tap it out, ground it in, and get back out there.
Feeling your protection. Oh, one more little tiny tool for before you go into these interactions, so there's that whole like, okay, what can I do to prepare myself before I go have Christmas dinner with my family, or before I go to holiday dinner with my family, or whatever. Do your grounding practice, do your clearing. We've talked about that too in a couple different episodes, like energetic cleansing and purification. I think do we have an episode on that?
I don't know.
No, maybe?
I don't know.
Okay, we might, maybe not, but we should look at that. But clearing your energy, grounding in your energy, setting up your boundaries, and call in your team, call in your energy posse, right? Like your spirit guide, your spirit squad, and ask them for help in, I keep my energy separate and safe. Tell them what you want out of the situation, and ask yourself, who do I need to be in order, like, what do I want out of this situation? Okay, I want to have a really clean, healthy, happy, fun, enjoyable experience with my family. Okay, who do I need to be in order for that to happen? Who do I need to show up as? And what do I need to do for myself in order to meet that need? And walk in, not expecting a fight, not expecting any tension. Just go in like, this is what I'm here for. I'm here for this healthy, happy, beautiful family interaction. My boundaries are in, my energies are separate and safe, and I'm good. That's going to get you far.
That's great. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
So thank you. Is that it? Do you have anything else?
No, I think we gave a lot of tools, and as always, we've got a couple episodes for people to refer back to if they want more information.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. This is Shaman Sister Sessions. Feel free to reach out to us via email at shamansistersessions@gmail.com. Let us know what you thought about this. Let us know if you put anything into practice, what other topics that you are interested in. We love to engage with our listeners, so reach out to us. You can also see all of our prior episodes on YouTube, and also at iTunes and Stitcher. If you can go and leave us an amazing review and rating, that's always helpful. And Michelle, anything coming up?
Follow us on Facebook, our page Shaman Sister Sessions, for updates about what we're speaking about. You can also, we've got a newsletter that is in place, so you can stay tuned, get our schedule of what topics we're covering, special guests, and special offers. Kat and I are doing more workshops together. We're doing more sessions together, and please just stay tuned because it's only getting better from here.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything
All
else?
right. Nope. Good luck.
All right.
Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.